Have you ever felt like something just isn't right? Like there's a constant weight on your shoulders or a nagging presence that you can't shake off, no matter how hard you try? The truth is, there are forces around us that often go unnoticed. Forces that are subtle, cunning, and relentless. We're talking about demons and dark entities, real threats that silently target our lives, our minds, and our peace. They may not always show themselves in the way movies or books portray them, but their influence is very real. The thing is, these forces often operate in ways that are so subtle that we can easily miss the signs, making it harder for us to fight back. But today, you're about to learn how to spot the unmistakable signs that demons might be attacking you. Understanding these signs is the first step in protecting yourself and taking back control over your life. Now, most people brush off these strange occurrences or feelings, thinking it's just bad luck or their imagination. But what if recognizing these signs could change everything for you? What if knowing how to identify and fight these attacks could transform your peace and bring back the sense of control you may have lost? This is exactly what we'll dive into today. I urge you to pay close attention and watch this video in its entirety. If you're short on time, feel free to speed it up to 1.5x or 2x. This knowledge is vital, and I don't want you to miss a thing. No matter your spiritual background or beliefs, the techniques I'll share today are powerful and can be applied by anyone. You don't need to be a religious expert or a spiritual guru to protect yourself from these attacks. The knowledge you'll gain here will equip you with the tools to rebuke these dark forces and regain your peace. So stick with me as we uncover these 5 clear signs that demons are targeting you, and how you can start fighting back today. Now that you understand the seriousness of this unseen battle, let's go deeper into the first major sign that demons might be attacking you, something many people experience but rarely recognize for what it truly is. Have you ever noticed a strange streak of bad luck that keeps repeating itself in your life? Not just once or twice, but over and over again. Almost like a cycle you can't seem to break. You lose your job unexpectedly, then your car breaks down. Then you fall out with someone close to you, all in a short span of time. It feels random, but it's too consistent to be a coincidence. These aren't just accidents. These are often deliberate spiritual attacks meant to wear you down slowly. Dark forces don't usually show up in dramatic, obvious ways. Instead, they prefer to work in patterns, quiet, persistent, and frustrating. They create situations that bring stress, chaos, and emotional pain in small doses until you start to feel exhausted, hopeless, or even cursed. Picture a dripping faucet. One drop doesn't do anything, but over time, that drip can crack stone. That's how demons work. They bring just enough disruption to disturb your peace, but not enough to make you suspect a spiritual attack. The goal is to break you gradually, to steal your joy and to cloud your thinking, so you become easy to influence and easier to control. Think about it. Have you gone through phases where everything seemed to fall apart no matter how hard you tried to stay positive? Maybe you kept losing opportunities that were almost in your hands. Maybe people suddenly turned against you for no clear reason. Or perhaps your emotions felt like a roller coaster. Calm one day, completely overwhelmed. The next, these things may seem unrelated on the surface, but if they keep happening, they may be part of a deeper pattern designed to distract you from your purpose and disconnect you from your inner peace. Let's take a closer look with some real-world examples. Imagine someone who works hard every day but keeps getting passed over for promotions, or constantly gets stuck with difficult coworkers. No matter how much effort they put in, nothing improves. Or someone who tries to maintain close relationships, but every friendship or romantic bond ends in sudden drama or misunderstanding, again and again. Or a person who's usually healthy but starts facing back-to-back health problems that doctors can't fully explain. These examples may seem like life's usual ups and downs, but when they begin to form a pattern with no clear cause, you need to ask, is something darker at play? Demons thrive in confusion. They want you to believe it's just your fault, or that you're simply unlucky, or that life is just cruel. Because as long as you believe that, you won't take steps to fight back spiritually. The longer these patterns go unchallenged, the deeper their roots grow. You may start feeling constantly drained, anxious, or unsure of yourself without realizing why. You may stop trying because, what's the point? That's exactly where they want you. Disconnected from hope, tired of trying, and vulnerable to their influence. So how can you be sure this is more than coincidence? One powerful method is to start documenting every unusual or negative event that happens to you over the next 7 days. Keep it simple. Write it in a notebook or your phone. Look for patterns. Are certain types of trouble happening repeatedly? Are you experiencing random arguments, sleepless nights, or moments of unexplained fear or sadness that follow a rhythm? The goal is not to obsess or live in fear, but to become aware. Awareness is your first line of defense. Because once you recognize the pattern, you can start to break it. Start asking yourself, are these just random incidents, or do they seem too calculated to be a coincidence? Once you see the pattern, don't ignore it. That uneasy feeling, that strange tension in your life, that's your spirit sensing a deeper truth. You're not crazy and you're not cursed, but you may be under attack. And now that you see it, you can stop it. Spiritual awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. The shadows don't disappear immediately, but now you can see what's really there. And when you can see the attack clearly, you can fight it with clarity and strength. Don't brush these patterns off anymore. Don't tell yourself it's just bad luck or that you're imagining things. Start paying attention. Start writing things down. The more you notice, the more empowered you become. This is your life, and you deserve to protect your peace from anything trying to steal it from you. Once you start seeing the negative patterns in your life, it's like a veil is lifted. And suddenly, what once felt like bad luck now feels intentional. But the spiritual world doesn't only attack your emotions or thoughts. Sometimes the signs are right there in your physical environment, surrounding you in subtle but chilling ways. The second sign that demons may be targeting you is through strange physical manifestations. These are the moments that make you pause and ask, did that really just happen? The room suddenly goes ice cold for no reason. Your lights flicker. At the exact moment you feel anxious. Your phone keeps glitching, but only in one specific room. These aren't just odd coincidences. They can be spiritual disruptions caused by a dark presence. Demons don't just affect your mind. They disturb the space around you. Because they operate on different spiritual frequencies, their presence can alter the energy in a room. It's not unusual to experience cold spots that don't make sense, especially in areas of your home where emotions tend to run high. Sometimes, your pets will avoid certain corners or act frightened for no reason. Dogs growl at what looks like empty space. Cats stare intensely at something invisible. These are not just animal quirks. Animals are naturally more sensitive to spiritual energy than we are, and their behavior can be a strong indicator that something's wrong. Consider the story of a family living in a quiet home. Everything was peaceful until they began noticing small things. Cold drafts in one corner of the bedroom, no matter the season. The lights would flicker every night at 2:33 a.m., even though the wiring had been checked by professionals. Their dog stopped sleeping in the living room, growling every time it passed the hallway. Eventually, their youngest child began waking up from terrifying nightmares, always describing the same shadowy figure standing near the closet. To most people, this might sound like a haunted house story, but in reality, these are classic examples of spiritual interference. They create fear, confusion, and a sense of helplessness, the very emotions that open the door wider to further attack. To help this all make more sense, think about it from a scientific angle for a moment. In quantum physics, it's been shown that energy exists in countless frequencies, many of which we can't see or hear. That doesn't make them any less real. Radio waves, for instance, are all around us, but we only hear them when we tune into the right frequency. Similarly, demonic entities may operate on frequencies that are invisible to us, but still have the power to influence the physical world, especially if they're feeding off fear or emotional chaos in the space. This idea might sound complex, but it helps explain why you feel something is wrong, even if you can't see it with your eyes. Still, it's important not to jump to conclusions every time something odd happens. Not every flickering light means a demon is nearby. The key is in noticing patterns, just like with emotional and life disturbances. If your electronics glitch once, it could be technical. But if it happens repeatedly in one specific area, or only when you feel anxious or unsafe, pay attention. If cold spots show up in the same place again and again, with no logical explanation, that's a clue. If your body suddenly reacts with chills, tightness, or strange vibrations for no medical reason, especially in certain rooms or at certain times, this may be more than just a physical issue. It could be your body reacting to a spiritual presence. 2. Help you become more aware of this. One simple and powerful step is to start creating what you might call a manifestation map. This isn't complicated. Take a small notebook or even a phone note and begin writing down any strange occurrences in your home or workspace. Where did it happen? What time? What were you feeling in that moment? Was there a sudden drop in temperature? A flicker of electricity? Did your pet behave oddly? Was there an emotional argument or a strange dream the night before? Over the course of a few days or a week, you'll start to see if there's a pattern forming, if specific places or times are hotspots for spiritual activity. This process isn't about being fearful, it's about becoming spiritually alert. Awareness gives you power, and once you start mapping out these moments, you can begin to take back control over your space. Later in the video, we'll talk about how to cleanse your environment and protect you begin to see how demons don't just haunt places, they haunt moments, emotions, and thoughts. Their aim isn't only to disturb the lights in your house or cause a cold chill down your spine. Their real target is something far more personal: your mind. The third sign that you may be under spiritual attack is the sudden and unexplainable emotional and mental disruption that seems to come from nowhere. One minute you feel fine, maybe even hopeful, and then, like a switch flipping, you're drowning in fear, sadness, anger, or confusion, and you can't even figure out why. It's easy to overlook because we live in a fast-paced world where stress and emotions are part of daily life. But what sets this apart is how sudden and foreign the feelings are. You weren't overthinking. There wasn't a trigger. You just woke up with a crushing sense of dread. Or maybe everything was going well and then, out of nowhere, anxiety clutches your chest or an overwhelming rage flares up, directed at someone you love for no real reason. That shift isn't always natural. It could be a sign that something dark is pressing into your spiritual space, trying to rattle your balance. Many people have had these moments. A woman trying to rebuild her life after years of pain suddenly finds herself weeping uncontrollably for no reason right before an important job interview. A student finally finding confidence in their faith suddenly begins questioning everything, falling into a spiral of fear and doubt. A man on the edge of breaking generational patterns starts feeling paralyzed by shame and guilt that don't even match his current life. These aren't just mood swings. These are spiritual ambushes, targeted emotional strikes sent to knock you off track right when you're about to grow. Demons operate like snipers in the unseen realm. They study your weaknesses. They wait for the moments when your defenses are lower. When you're tired, stressed, or beginning to take a leap of faith, that's when they attack the mind. They know that if they can hijack your emotions, they can stop your progress. Fear makes you hesitate. Shame makes you shrink. Depression makes you stop moving forward. It's not always the situation that's the problem. It's the invisible weight pressing down on your spirit, making you feel like everything is falling apart even when it isn't. This tactic works so well because we often assume these emotions are just us. But if you start paying close attention, you'll notice that these emotional crashes often come at critical turning points. Right after prayer, before important conversations, after deciding to walk away from something toxic, or when you're stepping into a new season of purpose. That timing isn't random. It's strategic. Demonic forces don't want to stop your joy. They want to stop your progress. And the battlefield is your mind. To gain clarity, start tracking your emotional state like a journal. You don't need anything fancy. Just note how you're feeling, when the feeling started, and what was happening around you at the time. Was it tied to a major decision? Did it interrupt a spiritual moment? Over time, you'll begin to notice that the most intense emotional attacks often happen when you're doing something right, not wrong. That knowledge can be a shield. Because once you realize the feeling isn't from you, it loses its power to control you. One simple but powerful technique you can use when this happens is called thought interruption. The next time you feel a sudden wave of darkness, whether it's fear, guilt, or anger, say out loud or in your mind, "This is not my thought, this is an attack." Those words cut through the confusion and allow you to take back control of your mental space. Don't argue with the emotion. Don't try to figure it out. Just recognize it, call it what it is, and mentally push back. It's not magic. It's awareness. And awareness is what turns the tide. Another way to protect your mind is by strengthening your physical rhythm, especially your sleep. Demonic attacks often escalate when you're sleep deprived, because your mental defenses are weaker. Establish a consistent bedtime routine and guard your rest as seriously as you would guard your front door. Your peace isn't just about relaxation, it's a shield. When you sleep well, you think clearly. When you think clearly, you're harder to deceive. All of this leads back to one truth. You are not powerless. These emotional disruptions might feel overwhelming, but they are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you are spiritually significant. The attack wouldn't come if you weren't a threat to darkness. So the next time your emotions spiral without reason, pause, breathe, interrupt the thought. And remember, awareness is the first step in reclaiming your mind. And just when you think the battle is only in your mind or your home, it begins to show up somewhere even closer. Your relationships, the people you love, the ones who should be your safety net in times of spiritual pressure. The fourth sign that demons may be attacking you is the strategic deterioration of your relationships. This kind of attack is subtle but powerful. Demons. Understand that when they can't destroy you directly, they will try to isolate you. They'll go after your strongest support systems, your friends, your family, your spouse, and start tearing those bonds apart, one misunderstanding at a time. Think back to a time when everything seemed fine between you and someone close. Maybe it was your best friend, your brother, or your partner, and then out of nowhere a tiny disagreement explodes into a massive argument. Harsh words are spoken that neither of you meant. Cold silence follows, and even after it's over, something feels broken, as if trust has quietly slipped out the back door. These moments feel confusing, unnecessary, and way too frequent to just be coincidence. That's the point. When you're under spiritual attack, even the people you love most can start to feel like enemies. There are people who've gone through season after season of losing friendships over things they can't even remember clearly. Parents fighting with their children over misunderstandings that should have been simple to resolve. Couples on the edge of separation without any real betrayal or reason, just an invisible pressure pressing them apart. This kind of pattern isn't natural. It's not just about bad timing or emotional outbursts. It's often something much deeper. Demons thrive in confusion, and the more disconnection they can create between you and the people who uplift you, the easier it is for them to isolate and weaken you. This is especially true when you're trying to grow spiritually. Maybe you've just started praying regularly, reading more, or cutting out bad habits. And suddenly people close to you start acting distant or irritated. Old tensions resurface. Miscommunications become daily struggles. You're tempted to shut down or walk away. That's not by accident. That's targeted spiritual resistance. When you try to move closer to light, darkness reacts. And it often uses the people around you, not because they're evil, but because they're human. And humans are vulnerable to spiritual influence when they're unaware of it. So how can you tell when it's a spiritual attack and not just a bad day? Pay attention to the timing. Do the conflicts happen right after you take a positive step forward, like starting a fast, joining a community, or trying to forgive someone? Do they seem to follow the same pattern? Peace, tension, explosion, regret? Are the arguments over things that don't even make sense when you think back on them? These patterns are not normal. They are signs that something invisible is working hard to separate you from the people you need most. But there's good news. You can fight back. One of the most effective ways to protect your relationships during spiritual attacks is with your words. Speak protection over your bonds. You don't need a ritual or complicated prayer, just honest, firm declarations. Say things like, "This relationship is covered in peace and understanding," or "No weapon formed against this connection will succeed." Words carry power in the spiritual realm. What you speak over your relationships can begin to build invisible walls of protection. Also, make an effort to stay transparent in your communication. If you feel tension rising, say something early. Let people know when you're feeling off. Don't wait for an argument to boil over. Spiritual attacks thrive in silence and assumption. But when you speak truthfully, you bring light into the space, and darkness can't stay where light is present. And finally, give grace to yourself and to others. When you recognize that the conflict might not be coming from the person, but through them, it's easier to forgive and reconnect. Sometimes the greatest act of spiritual warfare is choosing to love, even when everything is trying to pull you apart. This journey is not just about fighting demons in the air. It's about guarding the sacred spaces in your life, and relationships are one of the most sacred. Don't let invisible forces steal what is meant to support and strengthen you. Choose to fight for your connections, not against them. Because when love is protected, so are you. And now we come to perhaps the most important part of this journey, the part that many people overlook, underestimate, or simply forget. It's the final sign that demons are attacking, and it's also the key to pushing them back. Your own power to rebuke. Yes, the ability to fight back is not something reserved for spiritual leaders or people who've spent years studying religious texts. It lives inside you. And if you've noticed the strange patterns, the emotional shifts, the environmental disturbances, and the conflicts in your relationships, we're not ending this message with fear. We're ending it with strength. You see, one of the clearest signs that demons are at work in your life is how they react when you start to take control. When you begin to speak against them, claim your peace, and push them out, things may even feel like they're getting worse at first. That's because they know their time is short. They try to stir up even more chaos to distract you from your power. But don't let that fool you. The moment you recognize their tactics is the moment you begin to win. Because your awareness is the first step toward authority. Spiritual authority simply means this: you have the right to control what happens in your space, your mind, your body, your relationships, and your energy. You don't need to belong to any religion to have this right. You were born with it. And when you understand that, you no longer have to sit back and hope these attacks go away. You can make them leave. This is not about complicated rituals or memorizing long prayers. It's about standing firm and using your voice. When you feel something dark pressing in, speak out. I recognize this for what it is. I claim my space. And I command this to leave now. That's the three-part command: recognize, claim, and command. Say it out loud. Say it with authority. Say it like you mean it. You can also use simple tools like visualization. Imagine a bright light covering your room or filling your body from head to toe. You can play cleansing sounds like soft bells or affirmations. These aren't just feel-good actions. They help shift energy and reclaim peace. Do it daily, even if you feel fine. Because spiritual strength is like a muscle. It grows through practice. This isn't about fear. It's about power. Your power. You are not helpless. You are not weak. You are not alone. You were never meant to just survive these attacks. You were meant to overcome them. So start today. Rebuke what doesn't belong. Reclaim your peace. And walk forward knowing that you are stronger than anything that tries to bring you down. Now that you've made it this far, take a moment to reflect. You've just walked through 5 of the most powerful signs that demons may be trying to influence your life. And more importantly, you now know how to recognize them and fight back. First, we talked about those strange, repetitive negative patterns that seem to trap you in cycles of stress, loss, or failure. They're not just bad luck, they're designed to break you down slowly. Then came the physical signs, the cold spots, flickering lights, and the eerie sensations that can make your own home feel unfamiliar. They aren't your imagination. They're real disturbances caused by unseen forces. We also uncovered how emotional and mental chaos can appear suddenly, pulling you into dark moods or thoughts that don't even feel like your own. These aren't just moods, they're sneak attacks on your mind. And then we explored how relationships can suffer under these attacks, with demons using arguments, misunderstandings, and isolation to pull you away from the people who give you strength. But the most important part was discovering your power. The power to rebuke, to command, and to cleanse your space with nothing more than your voice, your focus, and your authority. This journey isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. You don't need to have all the answers or years of spiritual training to protect yourself. What matters is that you start paying attention. Notice the signs, trust your instincts, and remember, you don't have to accept spiritual attacks as just part of life. You have the right to fight back and you have the strength to win. You're not weak. You're not crazy. You're waking up. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these signs in your life? Have you felt the shift in your emotions or noticed strange patterns that didn't make sense? Share your story in the comments. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. And if this video helped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and send it to someone who might need this message too. Don't keep this to yourself. This is just the beginning. In the next video, we're diving deeper into advanced spiritual protection, things that go beyond the basics and help you truly fortify your life. If you're ready for that next step, don't stop here. Click on the next video, and let's keep building your spiritual strength together.